What do leaders and executives need to know about accelerated aging in the brain? If you're an executive who works long hours and lives under a huge amount of pressure, please pay attention to what I'm about to tell you about your brain. I have some good news and some bad news. However, I would like to start by telling you a story. One of my patients was a 49-year-old hedge fund manager who over the past 2 years had become the most successful person at his firm and was promoted twice. But underneath that success, there were some troubles. He was getting grumpy with his family more easily. He would sometimes forget the names of his own clients. Sometimes during afternoon meetings, felt foggy and could not keep with everybody else. And because his father had struggled with Alzheimer's disease late in life, he had started to worry that these may be the early signs of Alzheimer's disease. My first step with him was to figure out what was actually driving these changes in his brain. Most executives believe mental sharpness either holds up with aging or it slips and that they have very little control over it. They assume the brain is a fixed structure like a computer, and that is absolutely wrong. Your brain is like a portfolio. It appreciates with the right investment and it depreciates with neglect. And either way, it is compounding for better or for worse every single day. Short temper, memory lapses, and feeling foggy are all signals that your brain portfolio needs more attention. These warning signs, as my patient had experienced, are not permanent. They can easily be fixed. Now, let me give you some bad news about how your daily routine may be shrinking your brain. Sustained stress keeps a hormone called cortisol elevated in your blood. Over time, elevated cortisol shrinks part of your brain's frontal lobes and hippocampus, the very brain regions responsible for decision-making, executive function, leadership, learning, memory, and emotional regulation. Think of chronic stress as an unhedged risk exposure. It sits quietly on your balance sheet, and if you never address it, it erodes the asset every single day it goes unmanaged. The other factor that shrinks your cortex and hippocampus are sedentary lifestyle, an irregular sleep pattern, a poor diet, and a lack of downtime and relaxation in your daily routine. The more your brain atrophies, the worse you function. Now, let me tell you some good news. Based on compelling scientific evidence, atrophy in the frontal lobe and hippocampus can be reversed through what I call the 5 pillars of brain health. Think of the 5 pillars as 5 separate investments in your brain. Each one alone is enough to make a real difference in your overall cognitive performance. But when you combine them, the returns do not just add up, they compound. Imagine what your brain will look like when all 5 are working in your favor. So what are the 5 things? Number 1, exercise. Aerobic activity, such as walking an hour a day, raises levels of a molecule called BDNF, which actually supports the growth and maturation of the brain. This is real capital appreciation on your brain asset, not just some vague wellness advice. It is one of the most direct and measurable levers available to you. Number 2, sleep. Your brain has an innate cleanup operation called the lymphatic system, and it runs hardest during deep sleep, clearing out the metabolic waste that builds up during a normal day of thinking and working. Sleep fewer than 6 hours a night, and that clearance does not finish completely. Over time, the deficit compounds night after night, the same way unpaid interest compounds on a balance. Sleep is not rest for your brain. It's a dynamic and active maintenance system that protects your principle. Number 3, diet. What you eat becomes the literal building molecules for your brain cells. The Mediterranean diet, rich in olive oil, leafy greens, fish, nuts, and dairies, supplies the omega-3 fatty acids and antioxidants needed to calm inflammation that usually erodes neurons in the brain. Think of it as the raw material you feed into a factory. Even the best machinery produces poor output if the inputs are poor quality. Number 4, stress regulation. This is trainable. not just a personality trait, and it functions as your hedge. Something as simple as breathing slowly for 2 minutes has real benefits for your brain, both in the short term and in the long term. Number 5, novelty and cognitive challenge. Brains that keep learning something genuinely new build more synapses and neurons. This is called cognitive reserve, a protective buffer that makes the whole portfolio more resilient to future stress or decline. Now comes the most important question. What can you do now in the shortest amount of time possible to see the best results? Pick the one lever that's the weakest position in your portfolio right now and work on it for 2 weeks. If it is sleep, look for the underlying causes and make fixing it a priority. You really do not want insomnia to shrink your brain and especially your hippocampus, compounding over time in a way that may raise your risk for Alzheimer's disease. You really don't want that. If it is stress, figure out the system to reduce it by 10% in 2 weeks. Make a list of what matters most to you in life and eliminate 1 or 2 responsibilities that matter the least. You're a smart person. Figure out what needs to change so you can have some calm, relaxing time in your day every day. Try breathing slowly for 2 minutes without interruption at least once a day, perhaps when you're feeling overwhelmed with too much pressure or right before you go to sleep. Now let's go back to that hedge fund manager for a moment. Once I walked him through his daily routine, I explained to him what are the factors that may be shrinking your brain. He had an aha moment. He decided to cut back on his hours. He realized that his family and his own life and brain mattered more to him than getting promoted at an accelerated pace. That one shift changed everything for him. After working on 5 pillars of brain health for 6 weeks, he was calmer, happier, and sharper. In fact, he forgot about his concerns for Alzheimer's disease. Your brain is the one asset every other asset in your life depends on. Everything else you optimize sits downstream from it. Start managing your brain like the highest ROI investment you have, and you will notice differences within weeks, not years. I believe what separates a good leader from a great leader is how they care for their company and their people while also caring for themselves and their own brains. Sacrificing your well-being to drive company revenue takes a toll on brain vitality and accelerates decline in the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus, the very regions that are essential for decision-making under pressure and for memory, learning, and leadership. Build the 5 pillars of brain health into your daily routine as much as you can, and you will see great results in a matter of weeks, not months or years. Good luck. If you find this information helpful, please like or subscribe. I would also love to hear your comments, so please write them below. Thank you. If you have any questions or if you want to leave me some comments, please write them below. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.